welcome to a brand new episode of the Krea University Podcast. In this segment, we explore the journeys of Krea alumni, their achievements, and the stories that define them. Joining us in today's episode is Sai Balaji Suresh.
Hello everyone.
Hello, Sai, how are you doing?
Great. Good to be back to Krea after a while and see familiar faces.
Yeah, how's it being back, from UK after your masters?
It's definitely a throwback, sensing being back to Krea, seeing where you started, and tracing back the journey, going here and how Krea's foundation helped me define and shape my path in the UK.
That's great, awesome. So I want to begin by asking you. So you've lived across cities. Basically, you lived in Delhi when you were a child, and most of your schooling was in Delhi. So how has living in different cities shaped your experiences, and how has that helped you explore different avenues?
Yeah, I think that being a third culture kid, my mom's from Kerala, dad's in Tamil Nadu, but I grew up in Delhi. It's a completely different environment to anything else. It one leaves that thing of fear. We always like have a fear of introducing yourself or being acclimatized or talking to other people. Second is you're more adaptable, you're open to experiencing new things, being in new cultures, and that in a big part has helped me acclimatize and settle down in a completely new country like the UK. Because it takes a lot of courage to go around and say, okay, fine, this person from a completely different land, a different culture. The only thing common between us is English and a shared passion for the industry.
Correct.
And then going up to them in networking events and things that maybe because of that unseen amount of just courage and saying, okay, fine, I mean, just break the barrier, break the ice and talk to them. I think so that helps because you're part of different cities, different localities, different cuisines, and that helps. Well, I think in being a part of my Krea life as well, meeting people from different cultures, different states, that helps
Correct.
a lot as well. Yeah.
That's what Krea also,
Yeah.
the Krea experience is all
Krea
about.
is a microcosm of the world essentially.
Absolutely.
Not just India, but
Yeah.
a lot of people across the world come to Krea to study. So
Correct. And that brings me to my second question about your major. In terms of what you do now, which is, climate and sustainability are central to your work today.
of course.
Whether it is working with NGOs and think tanks or companies where you help them with climatic solutions. What sparked this interest and how has it evolved over time?
I think so. It's a very interesting story on how my interest was sparked. I think so. When I started my masters in September 23, I was looking at networking events, because it's brand new to the UK. I wanted to know the industry. I was doing a few courses in climate as a part of my masters, but they were, just electives. And apart from the academic context, how do I know more about the industry, right? And I was part of this community called, this Slack community called Work on Climate, where, if you want to work on climate, as in the climate sustainability careers, there's an entire community which gives events and posts everything. And there was this channel called Meet London, like a hashtag Meet London. And they posted something called the Climate Community Winter Party, which is happening in December of 23. And then I was like, okay, fine, this is happening. Let me just go. It's a free event. They're celebrating Christmas. You have a lot of climate tech companies coming around. Maybe I just talk to someone, say, hi, I'm Sai, I'm a master's student, etc. And yeah, I was actually, when they went, I was actually very scared, didn't know how to talk to people. And who helped me break the ice? I actually met Geetika, your batch, from that event.
Geetika, oh my.
Your batch met Geetika.
She's also in London.
Yeah, she works for Marsh McLennan in sustainability and risk. So she had just finished her master's from University of Westminster then. So meeting a fellow Krea alum at a networking event was what helped me break the ice in the first place. So it's it's a small world. You meet Krea alumni everywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what helps break the ice. Yeah. So and then post that, it's just a role. One event after the other, you get to know more people, and people come up with opportunities, and then knowing more contacts, developing a personal brand, getting my network. And in the summer of 24, when I was in the thick of my thesis, I approached different founders, and one of the founders was kind enough to give me an internship, and then from there it went off. So yeah, that sparked my interest, and yeah, that's how it's going.
The journey has been eventful.
Eventful, but to think all that has been enabled by your
my
batchmate. It's
That's
interesting.
what alumni are for. Okay. So you were part of Krea's early graduating batches. Looking back, how did the interwoven learning model, your majors, internships, and student initiatives prepare you for your masters in King's?
Yeah,
and shape
no,
the way
I think so. These initiatives prepared me for my masters more than I could ever think of, because the current projects I work in, be it in different sectors like renewable energy, looking at fundraising for philanthropic organizations, be it looking at venture capital and how can you allocate that for breaking climate tech, and also de-risking the early stage tech products. When you're looking at different silos and varied functionalities, You need to remember where those tie up together. And climate itself is an issue which cannot be looked at, one angle or the other, right? It's an issue which combines economics. It's an issue which combines human rights. It's an issue which combines people's emotions and sentiments. It's an issue which also looks at politics in a very different way. In the UK, there's an entire political conundrum. If you look at the Green Party, it's formed on the basis of saying that we place sustainability and climate at the forefront. And I think so. That's helped me a lot, looking at one issue through the lens of the other. That's what they call interval learning, looking at psychology through the lens of economics, looking at sociology through a lens of history, and then how you see these subjects are interconnected essentially in our daily lives. Because when you go to the industry, right, it's not very neatly and segmented into theories and courses and syllabi. It's like, okay, this is an issue, this is a problem, use what tools you get and you solve it. And that's where interval learning comes into the real test. How do you use the lessons you learn from the classroom? You learn, especially the first year for us, what we have, right, the multitude of courses we have, how our neuroplasticity gets influenced with those courses. And looking back at those days, I think so that's what helped me, adapt, to different situations. And that's what I do in freelancing and sustainability consulting. So yeah, that's the answer.
Interesting. Okay, that brings me to my last question, which is for current Krea students who are interested in sustainability policy or careers that sort of allied career pathways. What advice would you give?
I think so. You could start with work and climate, and there's something else I'd recommend, which is Open Door Climate. What Open Door Climate is, they offer a lot of resources, especially the two which I would point out is a career directory, which are professionals who are working in the same industry who are open to speak, particularly young graduates and people mainly new in the industry. The second item or resource they have is the day in life of a climate professional. So you can look at multiple job titles and look at what do they do as a part of the job description and their LinkedIn profiles and say what skills they think someone has to develop if they're career pivoting or if they want to get in the career as well. And even with the directory, there's a directory of professionals across the world, even in India, UK, anything. Let's say you want to move, and then they also have a list of whether they pivot to climate or they've been working in climate. So that you have been in a different field, right? Completely different field. You're doing consulting, strategy consulting for like 5 years. You want to pivot to sustainability consulting. You can find someone who's already done that and been in your shoes, and they can help you. And the most important thing for you, if you want to get in the career, is like make your own connections, have your own point of view. Because climate is something which is becoming more and more transparent. You can see its impacts on our geopolitics, you can see its impacts on our economies, you can see its impacts on how anything functions. So if you have a point of view and if you're able to advocate it to the professionals in the industry, then they're able to offer more perspectives. And that essentially helps you figure out what part of the problem you want to solve. Because the challenge is huge. There are many people working in it, right? It's not that the people are not addressing it. But where do you want to come and where do you think your skills and your passion intersect within the industry? And that's why I would offer this advice to say, look at the people, talk to professionals, and look at the directories of saying that, okay, I want to do X skill, Y industry, and this is the day in my life. Do you like those tasks? And then if you like those tasks, approach the people and say, I found your thing on the Open Door Climate and I want to talk to you, etc.
Amazing. I'm sure that will be really useful for our students, who are about to graduate and who are interested in these career pathways. Could you tell us what you're doing now, currently, since graduating?
Yeah, no, I think so. Before even graduating a master's in January of this year, from September of 24, I started my career in internship in a climate tech company called Viability and helped them develop something called a carbon calculator. Post that, I was a data scientist for a month and a half at a food waste company. So what we did there was calculate carbon emissions, but for food waste, and then we did those for massive retailers. So in how in India, Reliance Fresh, Geomart, Instamart.
Correct.
In the UK, we have similar retailers like Tesco, Asda. We did that for them, calculating their emissions, particularly scope 3 or indirect carbon emissions, which not a lot of people have, particularly given the emission scope of scale. That did for a month and a half. Post that, I was fortunate enough to be freelancing for Oxford. So I worked with the Smith School of Environment, helping them develop an executive masterclass in sustainable finance. Particularly, this project was meant for the public and third sector, including public policy professionals, philanthropists, people working in the government, and things like that. And this entire endeavor was funded by the IKEA Foundation. I am currently doing a few projects. One is helping in fundraising for an impact charity called Proposition. And what they believe is how humans can increase ecological abundance. and they are trying to do so, and not trying as in they're partnered with industry veterans and professionals to do so in 3 industries, particularly in the built environment, which is buildings. The second is sustainable circular fashion. Third, we are looking at agroecology or agriculture. How we're looking at how humans can increase ecological abundance in these 3 industries.
Quickly go to a rapid
Yeah,
fire
of course.
round. So, one Krea tradition, spot, or moment you will always associate with in your time on campus.
Sunsets at the perimeter.
Okay. If you weren't working in climate and policy, what would you be doing instead?
Behavioral science, I would have been doing that, particularly behavioral science and what makes people buy products, so since STM, marketing, economics, and development.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Interesting. A book, podcast, a documentary you keep recommending to people.
Stella, The World Beyond Limits and How to Get There by James Arbrip and Tony Seba. That's something I do. Also, a quote from the book I really love is a Buckminster Fuller. It's nothing about a caterpillar tells you that's going to be a butterfly. I would highly recommend people to read it. It's just a radical idea how the world changes. And podcast is Outrage plus Optimism. And what is the final thing you have?
I think book. Quote.
Book, yeah? Book, podcast, yeah. Outrage plus Optimism.
Okay. And what's one habit you picked up recently that you didn't expect to enjoy?
I think mostly with work, I read articles related to my industry or field only right now. I think so. Picking up, just reading something else, or just like, okay, going to Kindle and doing fiction reading, that's nice. And yeah, I think so just sitting in stillness and exploring more of nature, going to parks more, and especially group trips of walking
So
in
it's a
parks.
habit you didn't expect to.
Yeah,
pick
I
it
didn't
up.
expect to pick it up, going to parks, more walking. Because I've lived in
In
urban
London,
cities.
yeah.
Urban cities all my life, born in an urban city, grew up in an urban city. Krea was, a nice bubble where you can have that
Yeah.
nature, but still get into work. I enjoy going to nature and more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sai, for being in this episode.
Thank you so much, Sanjana,
hope
for asking me all the questions, and it's a great memory to have a throwback
Absolutely.
to Krea and what.
Great having you here in this episode.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.